Hello.
Hi there.
Thank you so much for joining us for Live with Jesse and Melva. We're back again, excited to go, excited to share with you again on this wonderful day. I don't even know if it's sunshiny today or not.
It is a little bit.
Okay. Well, it's certainly sunshiny in here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So we are so excited to share with you this next step in secrets to lasting love in relationships. We are so dedicated to this series that we thought about all these different elements of what we know about. And I know there's a lot more, but we came up with 365. Actually, we came up with 367 elements that support a lasting relationship. And the core of all of that is related to how people show up in relationship um, as a partner, because the partnership is the glue of the relationship. Now, really, that's the biggest secret. How to have a partnership that supports who each person is and what the relationship is all about as well. Because both people bring something very, very, very special to the relationship. And when we are working with clients and when we're thinking about our own relationship, we're very clear about the journey that we all have the opportunity to navigate. When people come together in the romantic stage, well, actually, during the selection stage, when people are attracted to each other and decide that they want to have a closer relationship with each other, those are fantastic and wonderful, wonderful, wonderful times. And then this romantic stage happens. And during that romantic stage, we always say it lasts anywhere from 2 minutes to 2 years or until the children are born. And if it's a blended families, it's when the families try to blend. Something happens. And so what happens looks like people being frustrated with each other, conflict about this, conflict about that. And what most people don't know is they're in the third stage, what we call the third stage. First stage is attraction and selection. Second stage is the honeymoon stage, romantic love. And there's that third stage where people get stuck. And actually, it's that stage where many people break up. See, this is the part that most people don't know. That third stage is the springboard to experiencing and manifesting the true vision of why two people are together. And so there's secrets beneath the surface of all of that angst, all of that frustration, all of that conflict. And so each time that we meet with you, and we're going to be talking about this for a while, there are secrets, and the core of the secrets, we believe, are an invitation for each partner to get in touch with not only what's trying to grow in the relationship, but what is trying to grow within them. And so these secrets to lasting love have a lot to do with supporting each person to get in touch with what already exists within that's kind of on the back burner. And it goes further on the back burner and maybe off the stove when conflict gets to be too much, when it gets too much.
You know, my experiences in the work that we've been doing over these years is that most couples who seek our help don't see it that way. What they're looking for, they're basically complaining about their partner he's not doing this, or she's not doing so and so. And so, as a consequence, they don't really get very far because they stay so stuck in complaining and criticizing each other for what they're not doing.
Right.
And of course, as long as you're looking at the other and not paying attention to your own way that you are relating and working and offering support and help and so forth in the relationship, then it's doubtful you're going to get very far.
Right.
And what typically happens is that one way or the other, the couple gets to the point where they can't take it anymore, so they decide to split up. And before you know it, in fact, this is also one of the things we found in our work. We've had couples that we've worked with that we've tried to introduce these concepts to, who stay so stuck in the criticism and blaming and complaining that they decide that they're going to end the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Would you believe it though? It's not long, they're in another relationship and they're going through the same or similar kinds of problems all over again.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the good news for them is you got a second chance to get what we're trying to teach you.
Mm-hmm.
And if you, maybe you'll get it this time, and so you will have a different outcome in terms of having a happy, meaningful, fulfilling, loving, kind, all those kind of things, relationship.
Yeah, and I want to piggyback on that because when people go into a new relationship, they take themselves with them.
Oh, yeah.
They take who they are with them.
Right.
And that's why we have been concentrating on an example of a couple that we call James and Marion. And so far, we have uncovered 6 of their secrets for lasting love. I mean, because this whole relationship journey, if you're married, you know, this whole journey of marriage, if you're in a committed love relationship, it's a journey. And so the 6 secrets that we shared so far for Marion and James include, number 1, this is their second marriage too. They made a decision that they were going to stop arguing and they were going to start communicating about the things that matter, how to have a successful relationship and how to be a successful partner. Because people are always looking at the other person to change, because I was certainly looking at you to change. But if you just change, everything will be just fine.
I'm sorry.
Oh boy, was I wrong. So that was the first thing. And then the second thing was they learned their own psychology in terms of how they show up and how they're wired to be in relationship, especially when things go off track. So they learned about the 7-year-old, the survival part of the brain that operates when things go off track. And then they discovered their negative impact, because if I'm maximizing, meaning I'm criticizing or yelling or that kind of thing, then that would be hurtful to Jesse. And then if he's shutting down and not talking to me when I'm really upset, then that's hurtful to me. So anyways, they did this journaling and they shared their journals with each other, and they were able to see the impact of their behavior on each other when they went into defensive mode. They also discovered the psychological wounds that they inflicted on each other. They knew about their hurt, but they didn't know how they were being hurtful to the other. And then they discovered their wounding profile. We call it maximize. In Imago, we call it maximizing and minimizing. Thank you, Joyce Buckner, for teaching us that. And then they also discovered how to become a healer. So this is all about being. And so last time we gave an overview of 3 other aspects of what is included in the healing. And this time we want to take it a step further. So we gave you 3 last time. One was being remorseful. The other one was being a change agent, meaning making amends. And then the third one was being forgiving. So this time we're going to focus a little more on being remorseful, because remorse, when people discover their impact on another human being, a whole lot of different feelings come up. And usually they're feelings like regret, and there's feelings like guilt. So what we have discovered and what we take a look at is that guilt and that regret for the wrong that was committed, that's natural, that's going to come up first. And James and Marion had guilt and regret for the hurt that they inflicted on each other. I mean, these two people love each other, and people in relationships, they do love each other. And when they find out that they've been hurtful, they really want to, well, they have feelings about it. And so what we know is that if you're taking a healthy approach, that guilt doesn't help. I mean, you could beat yourself up forever. I mean, just picture yourself sitting at as a judge with your black robe on, and that was the thing that they hit the thing with, gavel, you know, and you're saying that you're guilty, you know, you got that which particular and you're saying that you're guilty, and then you sentence yourself to maybe not a lifetime sentence of beating yourself up, but certainly for whatever time you do it is much too long.
And that does not provide motivation for really wanting to change.
Right.
If you're beating up on yourself, then okay, so you feel bad about it, you keep feeling bad about it, you keep feeling bad about it, but you don't have the motivation to change, because you get stuck in that place where you get comfortable with feeling bad about yourself as a person, and so therefore that doesn't motivate you to want to do anything different.
Right. And so guilt doesn't really get you anywhere, but feeling, you know, thinking about what a bad person you are at some level. But remorse, now that's something different. Remorse is a reflection of having a characteristic of compassion and empathy. So it takes a minute to get there sometimes, but the main thing is, you know, feeling bad for a wrong committed. That's what that's all about. But guilt is about feeling bad about who you are. So we want to focus on the remorse, because once you own it, once you own that there's something that you did that was hurtful to another person, that is a crucial step before you can get to the other 2 steps that we're going to talk about next time. So why is remorse important? We like this short quote from William Cowper, and that is, remorse begets reform. So to us, to me, what that means is it's a motivation for doing something different. And we're going to talk a little more about that next time, which is the amends process. So let's look at why remorse is important in terms of James and Marion. Because when James avoids Marion, it hurts. And we said that a little earlier. And when Marion attacks James, trying to get his attention, trying to get him to talk, it hurts. He goes into his shell. And so what we love about the awareness of remorse is that it provides a teachable moment. That's what Oprah used to say all the time. I think she probably still says it. You know, look for the teachable moments, because it can provide awareness of cause and effect, because we're not always aware that sometimes we cause the effect of somebody else's pain. And it's important to know that. Marion and James got in touch with that. We got in touch with that.
We sure did.
You know, it's an opportunity to make a decision to take responsibility for being hurtful. Because sometimes that's difficult to do. But you know, it's only difficult to do it in most cases because most people don't even think about that.
No.
And it also provides an opportunity to make a decision about doing something different, about changing the behavior. And so all of that is an inside job. And that's what James and Marion decided to do. They decided they wanted to make a change. First, they wanted to make a change for themselves because they are very clear that they want to build their character. They are very clear that they want to show up as the best version of themselves. So they can do that pretty much at work because you don't get, you know, sometimes people get triggered at work big time. Yeah, they do. I was just thinking about some of the counseling sessions. In love and marriage, when you think about that whole intimacy realm and how that provides an opportunity to really see the best and worst version of self, then you have a context for making a decision about whether you want to do better and be better. James and Marion decided that they wanted to do better and be better. And so this is one area that is their teachable moment that they can use remorse as a catalyst to make that decision. And we're going to talk about the change next time, but this time we're just talking about the decision.
You know, we have found that the way in which persons in love relationships relate to each other and the way that they are hurtful to each other is more than likely repeated in other relationships that they have. You just mentioned, like in work relationships. I could be going around with a certain attitude or ways in which I relate which are not helpful for either me, the person I'm relating to, or the company I'm working for. And so many times we don't understand that the way that we relate to others in the company, for example, may be a reason why we get passed over for promotions and we don't get very high ratings in terms of our work performance. And so one way of looking at this is what each of us learns in our personal relationship with each other and how we make change in the way that we relate to each other will likely be passed on to the way that we relate to people outside of our marriage or our relationship. And it's a wonderful positive thing, which is a benefit. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And so to get in touch with all of that, it means that anytime a person is upset and then there's a negative outcome, the teachable moment comes in the reflection. It doesn't come
right
in the midst of the upset.
Right.
That is because the brain is flooded with all of these emotions. And here's the thing, that the emotions of the present And the memories of all the emotions, all the way back to way back when, the first time a person felt the hurtful behavior of another person. So in the unconscious and in the body, all of these memories are activated, and people try to have a conversation, and they try to get the other person to listen to them. And then they're upset because the other person didn't listen, because they're either yelling or they're either shutting down. It gets kind of crazy feeling and kind of crazy looking. But people don't know that you can't come to an effective problem-solving strategy if you're trying to do it in the heat of the moment.
Right.
Your brain is only wired to survive. And if you don't shut it down, harm can come to people. I mean, serious harm. And we see that on the news every day. As a matter of fact, the news always starts off with, if it doesn't, what did we learn a long time ago? If it doesn't bleed, it doesn't lead.
Right.
Yeah, something like that. So it's so important to have we call it an adult timeout, to have a reflection. So to use that remorse as an opportunity to go within. Our friend, the late Patricia Johnson, she did seminars and she did poetry on what have you, on the whole idea of beginning within. That is what James and Marion did. That is what we do. That is what we support our clients to do. And that's what we're inviting you to consider as well. So it's your turn. We have a couple of questions for you. So one question is, do you minimize or maximize when communication breaks down in your relationship? And sometimes it's not when it breaks down, it's like in the process, in the throes of it breaking down. When you get triggered, when you're upset, how do you protect yourself? Because that's what it's all about, trying to protect ourselves. We're wired to protect ourselves. We just want to find a way to protect ourselves in a way that's more effective, so that we can navigate from stage 3 that we were talking about in the beginning to stage 4, lasting love. So that's part of the secret, is asking yourself that question and answering yourself that question. You don't have to admit it to anybody. This is just for yourself.
All right.
So if you reflected on the impact, we call it survival mode reaction, how do you think that reaction affects your mate? If you tend to strike out, I don't know if I said it the last time or if I said it before, that one time we were having an argument, and I did raise my voice, and you turned around and looked at me and said, "We don't do that in my family." I said, "You don't."
You did mention
He
that.
interrupted the pattern. I said, "You know." I said, "Well, how'd you get your point across?" Anyway, so that was a teachable moment for me, and it made a difference in terms of coming up with a new behavior. So in that moment, I knew that I was not having a positive impact on Jesse. And he didn't withdraw. He just turned around and looked at me and said, just as quietly and calmly, "We don't do that in my family." We did that in my family. So, but that was so important to me that I turned that around. So if you minimize or maximize, if you strike out or shut down, do you think it hurts? You probably do. You probably do. And if that's the case, is there anything that you want to change? I certainly made a decision to change, and you made a decision to change as well. So if you made the decision that you want to change, then we're going to go into that more next time. In the meantime, though, if you would like support in getting started, we would love to talk to you. So we're inviting you to schedule a complimentary consultation with the both of us at jesseandmelva.com/consultation. And when you click on there, there'll be a calendar with available dates and available time. And all you have to do is put in your name, your phone number, and you'll see the calendar and you can select the day and the time. So thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us for Live with Jesse and Melva. And we're looking forward to next time. Take care.
Watch Live with Jesse and Melva right here on Soulivity TV every Sunday at 5:30 Eastern. Soulivity Magazine brings you the best in inspiration on Soulivity TV. Check out our new shows. Mark your calendars for Soulivity Magazine shows by going to soulivity.com now.